Hi everybody, my name is Shannon. Welcome to my channel, Another Yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Are we ready for another cast on? Are we ready for another start of another something? Whew, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. I gotta make it. I'm close. So Ange from Yarn and Yarny has been doing this for multiple years, and that is doing the 12 cast-ons. And cast-on is start something. It doesn't mean if it's necessary, knit, crochet. It doesn't matter. You're starting 12 somethings in the month of January. And hopefully, you'll actually get them done by, the end of the year. We're not putting any pressure. I'm not putting any pressure on anybody. But I wasn't going to do something like this because I even talked about the multiple cast-on projects last year, where I'd seen that, where it's like the first of the month, you cast on as many things as you can. You get out all your crochet hooks, you get out your knitting needles and everything, and you start making a bunch of stuff. And you've got a whole bunch of things that are like this big, and you might get back to them, maybe, right? And I didn't do that last year. I couldn't think of a bunch of things really at one time that I wanted to make. Now, I have been suggested that, well, why don't you just cast on all of your socks at once? That would require me to find all of my knitting needles. And I probably have 4 or 5 pair of socks around in boxes that I'm like this for those boxes that say projects on them. Oh yeah, I am totally like that. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. And so I do have needles elsewhere, when you have that many things that you're working on, your needles disappear. I'm just saying, they disappear. They're somewhere. They're somewhere. So that would be one way to work on things that I'm supposed to do. But, that would be responsible, and we're not. Crafting is not where the responsibility comes in. I'm just saying that's no. So that was not where I wanted to go. And coming up with 12 things in the month of January, kind of like put on the spot, has become a little bit more cumbersome than I thought it would be. It really has. And then I keep joking, I did not understand the assignment well because I have not chosen thus far simple, fast, easy, quick projects. You might look at, well, you finished a couple of hats. Isn't that simple, fast, quick? I put a lot of time into them, okay? It might look like they're done. Oh, it's done like that. Well, maybe yours are. I don't know. But I put a lot of time in the things that I work on to get them to those stages. I'm not gonna say I'm super fast. No, I'm faster than some, slower than others. But they do all take time. They really, really do. But I did start something else. And again, did not understand the assignment. So I was looking at my yarn. I was in the other yarn room. I was putting some things away, right? And trying to, It's getting there. My husband complimented me today. He's like, oh, honey, you can see some stuff a little more. I counted those. If you didn't see Tuesday's video where I showed, I put together another IKEA shelf, thought I was going to die. Oh my gosh. He was like, honey, you're breathing heavy. You're sweating. Are you going to die on me? He was a little concerned. I'm not going to lie. He had a point. It's okay. I'm fine. The shelf's put together. But as I was looking through all that stuff, I saw this yarn too. Look at that. Nako. Yeah, it's a Nako yarn. And this, look, it does some like Fair Isle stuff in it. And it's a cotton acrylic. And I'm like, I have 2 of these. And I got this at a yarn store that's out of business. Not Just Yarn, LLC. That was in Colorado also. And this is a 50% acrylic, 50% cotton. You'll notice because, Colorado for so many years. Of course, that's where most of my yarns come from. If it's a physical local yarn store. That's not to say I haven't ordered a lot of things online. And a lot of people have gotten my money. So yeah, it's a 50% cotton, 50% acrylic. 100 grams is 245 meters, so a little bit more in yardage. Yay! So I got, a little over 500 yards for this yarn. So I went searching, what can I do with 2 skeins of the yarn? And I saw this beautiful little dress. It's called the Moana. It is by Rachel Evans, and it is a free pattern. Look how adorable. So I started this, and I'm just going to make it as large as my 2 balls will allow me to make this. And the goal is this will fit the 3-year-old granddaughter. She's pretty petite. I have started it, and I like the green. I really do. I think this is adorable. Look at that. I think that V-neck is extremely, extremely aggressive. Yes, got to sew on my ends. I think that's extremely aggressive. I think what I'll do when I'm done with this, I'll look at it and determine how aggressive that is and crochet around it and kind of tighten that up, make it a little bit lacy. It does have a nice selvage on it with the garter stitch all the way through to the V-neck, which I think is nice. It has a cute little frilly lacy detail here, and that's a combination of the garter and some chain stitches. You know, you're casting on, casting off, so it's chain stitches if you have a crochet hook, right? And the armhole, I left it like it showed. I have not cut any yarns, okay? That is a pro tip, just to say. This has a lot of places where you are cutting the yarn and you're going from, you're finishing the front, finishing the both front pieces, finishing the back piece, and then you're continuing picking up on the round. So I did not cut my yarn anywhere. So if I do decide, because it happens, right? It happens that I don't like this, I got a lot done to not like it, but I've gotten a lot done on other projects before and then to rip them out. So if I do decide to do that for any reason, I don't have a lot of cuts in my yarn. It is still one intact ball. So I do have a couple of those pieces. Obviously that's the end. I've got that one right there. I've got another loop over here where it did say to cut the yarn and reattach the ball. I'm like, nope, I've learned my lesson. So if you've done things and you're making stuff and especially the first time you've made something, this is the first time for me on this, and it tells you to cut your yarn, just make a length of yarn and restart where you're going to. And you can cut it and weave in your ends when you're finished, which I've done that before too, when I've actually finished the project. But if for any reason you change your mind, any reason you decide, you know, I want that to flare more, or I think that those underarms need to be smaller, or I think that that neckline should be up a little bit higher, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can do that and you don't have all the extra ends to weave in. You have the amount you're going to have, but you didn't add insult to injury, right? Because we all know how that works. I know how that works. So this is what I'm on. I'm pretty pleased with it. Got my saw 6 needles. Pretty pleased with it. I've gotten past that arm portion right here with the underarm. And maybe that's not necessarily too large right there. Easy on, easy off for them. They don't have, you know, little girls, right? It doesn't need to be up just too tight. That's the thing. I don't want it too tight, but I didn't want it too gaping either. And I was looking at some of their pictures. So this isn't too bad. Look at that. That looks perfect. It looks perfect on that little girl. I don't know how old she is, but that looks absolutely perfect. It's not showing her parts or anything like that. But when I was looking through the patterns that other people made, because that's always a good way to look at things, there seemed to be a little bit more. Here's an example right here. That young lady right there, I think I would prefer that one. Maybe that V-neck just a little bit higher, and then under the arms, I don't know, that's probably appropriate, but I think it needs to be just brought up a little bit. So I looked at things like that and how the pattern is coming out and how other people did it. That didn't mean that they followed the pattern 100%, because I'll show my pictures and we know I'm not going to follow it 100%. Have I so far? Kind of, because I didn't do the same on the ruffle, the bind off, the cast on bind off, the chain stitch ruffly stuff. I didn't do exactly the same as what it showed in the pattern. I kind of said, okay, I got the idea, and I just winged it and did my own thing. But for everything else, I'm right there on it. And it's like, you've got, especially like these littler sizes right here. I don't know who this child is. There we go. But you've got that. And you can see how the little baby and everything, how low that neckline is. I mean, it's cute. It's absolutely adorable. But, you know, so I was looking at that stuff. But I do like how it flares out. Look at this purple one. Look how pretty that is. That is gorgeous. I love that. So I like how it flares out. I'll go until I don't have any more yarn, right? I've got the 2 skeins of yarn. So it'll be however big it is. So, you know, I'm already making a skirt, so I might as well make a dress, because that's 2 girls in the same family, so they'll both get something. Of course, you know, thinking of it, she's also getting that cape. I'm just saying. You know, the kids, I've been lacking for a lot of years on making stuff. The older girls keep asking about dresses, and the younger girl has gotten some dresses because they were hand-me-downs, but I don't know if I've made her Yeah, I have. I have made her a couple specific twirly dresses, but not the full cake of yarn. You know, the Yarn Arts cake, right? I did those for her older sister and her cousin. But it's time to make a few more things, and they have really reminded me of that. So this 12 Let's Start Things Cast On Make stuff has got me to making clothes. I don't understand. My saving grace on this one, I'm excited about, is this right here. It's a DK weight yarn. Pretty sure, yeah, it's a DK weight yarn. And DK weight yarn on size 6s, right? See, it's not fingering. I have a lot of fingering weight. I have a lot of fingering weight is by far my most favorite yarn. And I question my sanity and whoops. I question my sanity, and I question, you know, why I go through this, why I do this to myself. Because fingering weight yarn in general takes just a tad little tiny bit longer to work something up than maybe this DK weight, or, you know, a sport DK or worsted weight, right? It's going to take longer for a project, especially if I want to make a project for myself. Yeah, because I'm not petite, and that's just fine. But it takes a little bit longer. It takes I love the detail that you can get with it. I really do. Now, for somebody who says, hi, I'm on YouTube and I knit and I crochet, having fingering weight yarn being my dominant favorite yarn is probably not the brightest thing. But then again, fingering weight yarn and making all this stuff was way before I ever got on YouTube, or YouTube was a thing, or anything along that line. So this is my passion. This is 100% my passion. And I am getting into, I know it's crazy, some bigger yarns. And by bigger, I mean like the DK. Okay, let's not get crazy. I'm not going for the bulky. I know we had the little bulky yarn, skinny yarn challenge a couple years ago. I get it. I played along. I did. It was fun. It really was a lot of fun. But in general, the bulky yarn is not my favorite. Do I have some? Yes. Surprisingly, is when we moved just a couple months ago, when we moved, I gave away a lot of yarn. And every time I'd come up to a bulky skein of yarn, it went into the giveaway bin. And I do have more, and it's funny. You're like, well, how do you have bulky yarn? I get it. It's funny. A lot of times yarn will come into my household and it will stay here until it dies, which means I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give it up. Well, I'll definitely give it away. That I don't have a problem with. But the whole giving it up and everything, but it's got a home. It's got a spot. There's places for it. I don't have to give it away. And then it's one of those crazy ones of, oh wait, I want to use that. I want to make something with that. You haven't in the last 2 years. Did you think about that? So it made it a lot more fun, a lot easier to do. And it was a lot of fun. And I know that the people that received it were quite happy to have gotten that. So this is where I'm at. This is another cast on. How many more do I have? Oh, it was brought up. This one, it was brought up by somebody was saying, hey, wait a minute. You have one more than you think, because there's this one. And I agree, kind of. I did finish it in 2026, but I started this one in 2025. But then again, Ange from Yarn and Yarny, I've seen other people that have been following her, and they started their cast-ons on Christmas Day, and then going all the way until January 31st. So that might make a difference. I'm not really sure. I mean, that's kind of playing with the rules a little bit, but it could count. I'm not sure. I do have a post. When did I do that post? I know I have a post, and that was the day I started it, because I got one of these bags. Yeah, see, I got the hippo bag. I got a cute bag, and I got Mr. Yarn, so I started it. And that was literally how it happened. So I do know that I started that prior to this year. I finished it in 2026, but I did not start it in 2026. So let me see. I'm going back to the post, and the post was a month ago. I don't know what day, but it just said that it was a month ago. So I do know that I started it in the December time period. But I'm trying, and you know what, guys? I think that is fantastic that you are rooting for me, and I'm really thrilled that there have already been a couple projects out of this 12 that have been completed, which I'm very excited about, because the last thing I needed is to start 12 things in the month of January, having not finished anything else, but that's not true because I started this in December. I finished it, right? Having not finished my older projects and started 12 new projects, that can be a little overwhelming. And it's really funny. There are some of you that this amount of chaos just drives you absolutely batty, but you keep tuning in. So it's kind of like a train wreck. You can't just turn away. But it drives you guys batty because you're more focused on whatever it is that you're comfortable with, whether that's one project, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, you're completely focused. And the idea of starting 12 things in a month just makes your brain explode. And I get it, which is probably why I don't have 12 things in my brain currently of what I want to start with. Each day is just a little bit like I'll search through Ravelry. And like I said, I found this yarn, cleaning my room. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty yarn. I've not used, cotton acrylic. That's nice. I'll use that. And then I started searching through Ravelry on what can I do with roughly 500 yards of a DK weight yarn and came up with this cute little child's dress. Perfect. I've also looked as other projects, hey, quick, easy, let's go for the win, is like some of the dishcloths, because we don't have a dishwasher. We moved and we don't have a dishwasher. We're not getting a dishwasher. So dishcloths, washcloths might not be a bad idea to make some. And I found a pattern that I wanted to use, but I also wanted to use more of a variegated cotton. And when we moved, I gave away a lot of the dishcloth cotton, as in, I think all but I've got like 1 or 2 of each. I've got an orange one. Of course I got the orange one, right? I've got orange, I got a purple, I've got a blue, but I've got a couple of these and that's it. And I wanted more of a variegated one because I wanted to do the crocheted seed stitch. And I thought that would be just really beautiful. It would be fine with this too. All right, I've got things in my head. So I've got a couple of these and I've got some scrubby, but I don't have a lot of other specific dishcloth type yarn. And that's okay. Don't feel bad for me. I gave it away for a reason. I don't use it very often. So that's fine. Lori has it. It was in a box or in a bag that I filled up with all sorts of other things. And I had a lot of that cotton, full skeins, partial skeins, whatever. And it was just in the bag and there, it just all went out together and, she's used it, given it away, thrifted it, well, not thrifted, but donated it, what have you, but it is no longer in my area. So I was thinking of going, oh, let me go that route. I'll make something. It'll be quick. It'll be easy. I can have that easy, fast win, the dopamine hit. And yeah, I don't think that's the case. This one wouldn't have been necessarily bad as a higher end cotton, as a hot cotton acrylic. It would be more for just the washcloths. Don't do the hot pad thing with it because, acrylic plastic melts. But I got other uses for it. So I do have some stuff like that. But it's okay. We'll be just fine. Well, I'll come up with something. I will come up with something. I was thinking that one would be just the perfect way to do it. And I still haven't done any stuffed animals, any amigurumi specific. I mean, the gnome you could count as an amigurumi, maybe. Not done. But, that one you might be able to count. But I don't have anything like that. And I don't think I want to. I know it's terrible. I'm like, I think it would end up like poor Layla up here. This is Layla. Oh, Layla stays. Layla stays. Right? That's Layla the love bug. And I started her over a decade ago. And she's supposed to have a full body. She is a love bug, like an ant type of thing. She's supposed to have a full body and she doesn't. And I still have the pattern. Yes, I do. Yeah, it's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. But some of my amigurumis, if I don't gut through it, it's not going to happen. And right now, with this whole, let's start making 12 things at once, yeah, that would fall through the cracks. Because if I didn't gut through it right then, I'd have pieces. I'd have pieces and parts. You guys have seen it. You've seen it. You've been around for a little while. You have definitely seen that is 100% the case. That is how things work around here. So wish me luck on my next thing. Just know, Erin from Crafting Kitty has been egging me on. Okay, I'm just saying she has been egging me on. So I'll have to watch and see what she instigates me to start next because it's happening. Oh yeah, it's happening. If you know, you know. With that, I'm going to let you guys go. You guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever it happens to be. And I will talk to you again later. Bye-bye.